Hello there, and welcome to Chick with a Plan. My name's Alicia, and I will be giving you a walkthrough of the Etsy pricing template that I have in my Etsy shop and my website. I will link them below in the description below this video. Okay, so first things first, we have your guide page, which is the very beginning right here. Just gives you a couple of helpful little hints and also links to the Canva templates that I use to make the headers, because Google Sheets has this lovely little feature where you can actually insert images, and you can insert an image right into the cell. So you can give this lovely little background right here. And if you want to change those out on these sheets right here, then you can follow those links and just change the fonts, change the words, change the background image, and customize this to whatever aesthetic you really want it to look like. Okay, so for the meat and potatoes of this sheet, we have the material cost sheet. It's going to be the spot that you start. Now, this is going to be a great spot for you to add things like shipping materials. Like, let's say you have the card inserts or the thank you cards, that kind of thing, or like the individual mailers, something that you're going to be using like an each of for every product that you're sending out. This is a good place to break it down, and you could break it down by the size of the mailer and just break it down to how much it costs per mailer so that you can use that in figuring out the raw cost. Now, right here, it has this error message, but it only has that error message until you add something into those boxes. Okay, from the material cost sheet, let's say we are making a laminated cardstock bookmark. So when you are pricing your items, you also want to include like waste. So if you're using an entire sheet of cardstock to run through the printer and then run through your Cricut or your Silhouette, like even if you're only using a small portion of that sheet, that entire sheet is getting used because you throw away the other stuff. You throw away the excess that wasn't a part of the bookmark. Let's say you have your one sheet and it's 40 cents per sheet. And you know what? For argument's sake, let's make this actually different. Because honestly, when I do this myself, I am breaking it down to inches, not by feet. Okay, so there is 720 inches in that lovely, lovely large roll of laminate. Okay, so out of those 720 inches, let's say I'm using a area of, let's say 6x9, and that's the piece of laminate I'm going to cut out to laminate my cardstock that has my bookmark pattern on it. That is going to break down to 54 square inches. So that 54 square inches times this 2 cent is $1.08. So you're using about $1.08 of laminate when you're laminating this cardstock sheet for your bookmark. So that $1.08 plus that 40 cent, that's going to be $1.48 for your cost of materials. With the product raw cost, it's recommended that you do include your time that you're using to make this product, especially if it's a product that you got to make over and over. At least include the repetition time, the time that it takes for you to actually reproduce this product. So let's say you just want to at least clear $15 an hour. And the time it takes for you to make this product is like 15 minutes, which is 0.25 of an hour. The time to make and the hourly rate are calculated in the total labor cost to give you roughly what it is going to be that you need to charge for your labor. Packing materials, I'm assuming you've already like built that out in the material cost area, so you know exactly how much packing materials is going into this product. Because again, you don't want to find yourself eating the cost that it takes for you to make your product. Like, we all do it because we love what we do and we want to give people cool things, but make sure that you're at least not losing money. That's not a fun place to be. And of course, include your shipping costs. Now, the reason you should include your shipping cost is because if you offer free shipping standard, you don't want to be eating that cost. Or if you run sales where you offer free shipping, you got to make sure that that's covered in some form or fashion. So after all is said and done, it looks like the total roll cost for this is $7.33, which I know seems really high for a bookmark. And honestly, if you are just trying to get started and you're not worried about covering your labor cost, just delete the hourly rate out and you're dropping down to $3.58 for raw cost. But I'm going to add that back there just for argument's sake. So 733. And here I just gave an example of what you can use in the pricing calculator. You may not even use the collection product name. If you're able to do like generalizations and just use item and say, oh, this is what I charge for my cardstock bookmarks. And that way you're not having to recreate pricing over and over. If you can create standard pricing for your items, it'd be great. But of course, for you one of a kind sellers, that would be very difficult. So you'll probably need to use a good bit of the sheet. And of course, you can add rows, insert rows as you need them. Okay, so let's see. 733. So 733 is the raw cost that we have. If we're doing a markup of 50%, now keep in mind, like, if you don't charge anything for your markup right here, all you're doing is carrying that raw cost forward of 733 and then charging your sales tax if that is something that you have to do in your state, and then charging your fees for gift wrapping or whatnot to cover your gift wrapping materials, charging your listing fees, charging for transaction amount, payment processing, and then you get your total price of like $9.33. Now, you may have a little bit of profit doing this if you actually included your hourly rate, your labor cost. But if you didn't include that at all, and let's say you just stuck with that 358 and you're not charging for your labor, and you also don't charge for your don't mark up to try to get a profit, you're still only gonna, like, you're not gonna be making a profit. You're gonna have a total price of almost $5 and you're gonna be breaking even essentially. So I know that was a pretty detailed walkthrough of this. I felt like giving an example product would be a lot better than just throwing the sheet at you and saying, hey, so this is what you can do with these columns, and that's what you can do with those columns. Like, I feel like examples are much better. And of course, here's the thing, I included a column over here on the end of the pricing calculator sheet that's called My Chosen Price. And I included this for a reason because sometimes when you do the math and like you realize how much you should actually be charging for your stuff to turn a profit. I'm just going to turn this to $7 right here. Like, it can look scary. I'm not going to lie. And I know as handmade sellers, we have the hardest time covering our cost and covering our time because we feel like, what we actually should charge is just way too much. So I basically gave you an opt-out column. But at least this worksheet, even if you don't charge that end price right there, at least you have an awareness of what's happening financially with your handmade products. All right, guys. So I hope this was really helpful. And if anything, you at least have an idea of how to or what to take into consideration when you are pricing your items. If you have some ideas and you'd love for me to add them to this workbook, I absolutely could, or at least consider them. This is also from a US seller's perspective. That's the only perspective I have experience with. So I'm sorry, international people. I don't have enough knowledge base to feel comfortable even trying to create a workbook um, from someone else's side. But, anyways, so if you would like to check this out, I'll have it linked below in the description, both to my Etsy shop and to my website. And I do charge less on my website because, as you can see right here with all the Etsy fees, that'll chisel away at you pretty good. So, thank you for understanding and thank you for your support. Well, guys, I hope you have a great day and be blessed.